Yo, konnichiwa, guys. This is going to be Samurai 8, Hachimaru, then chapter 17, 18, and 19. So, with chapter 17, we are introduced to two new characters, and these two characters turn out to be thieves, and they have quite an interesting gimmick between themselves. So, one of them is, he seems to be a thief, like just a smart talking thief, and the other one seems to have amnesia and he doesn't really know who himself is. And they've kind of boarded the, what do you call it, the master's holder, and the master has detected that someone's in the holder, and he knows they're quite skilled because they cut a hole in the holder. So they go to find out. But what happens before this is we're introduced to the main bad guy. So yeah, that was quite intriguing indeed. So I always thought that the other dragon guy next to Atta was the main guy, but actually they have another master, and it's just a floating skull in their head. So I was like, "What?" That was pretty crazy. And we also see one of the brothers there. I guess he's gonna be the main brother because he's Ichi, as he's only got one. He's only got one diamond on him, so he's probably gonna the main one because he's hanging out with them as well. So yeah, this massive evil skull is actually the leader after all this time, and I can see someone standing. I mean, sitting on top of the skull. So that's probably the leader himself. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. And we also get a bit more explanation into what the samurai keys represent. So the samurai keys represent connecting to each other, whereas the samurai souls represent disconnecting of things. That was quite interesting ethos there. But yeah, back to the thieves, and we see them about to face off, and we find out the guy who's got amnesia, he's also a samurai. Okay, Kosuga, I think that's his name. Kotsuga and Ryu. Uh, so yeah. Oh yeah, no. So Ryu is the samurai and Kotsuga is the guy who's just standing behind. So it turns out, and actually there's a bit of comedy gold in this chapter, in chapter 18. So Kotsuga tells Ryu to cut everyone except the girl, and and he literally tries to cut Kotsuga as well because he literally meant everyone, and he was like, "Oh, why are you trying to cut me?" And then obviously the fight actually begins. But I thought that was kind of funny, and we see him go against the master, and yeah, he actually does quite well, and it turns out he's got two samurai souls, and he dual wields with a sword on both sides. That was quite interesting, and we see him do a lot of interesting things, to be honest. And he even flies with his whole samurai soul and everything. And yeah, the fight actually, he's quite impressive, and he managed to hold off quite a bit against the master. But then and then he's kind of distracted by Hachimaru's spending because he gets a notification saying that all his money is gone. So that was a bit more comedy. And with that, what do you call it? But the thing is, what's it called? Ryu was no match for the master because we see here that Ryu attacks the master when he's distracted and nothing really happens to him at all. So I thought that was kind of funny. And we just kind of cut to them being chained up. So obviously the master beat them completely. And then this is when they're enticed onto where Kotsuga gives them an offer about how they're going to this competition on this planet, and whoever can beat the master gets like 1 billion, whatever currency they use. And I guess in that sense, it's going to be collateral damage because it's beating two birds with one stone because they get the money as well, and they also meet one of the key holders. So yeah. So with that, I guess these two will be joining us for the mission, and then we see Ryu and Hachimura actually do a bit of training together, where they pretty much spar, and whoever hits each other first is the gets a point. And at first, we just see how much of a difference the two have, where Hachimura didn't even have time to react, and Ryu already gets a point. So that was pretty crazy. And you just see Ryu completely destroy Hachimura, and he gets 31 points against a zero. That's a complete dominant. But as classic shonen is, we see that Ryu is actually commenting how Hachimura is getting more and more used to his movements, and he's getting stronger as the fight goes on. And then we see Hachimura actually do some pretty outlandish things, like cutting off his arms, and then he throws his sword. So, and he also slices off his own head so he doesn't get hit. And I thought that was pretty crazy. And he gets a point, and with that, the episode ends. I mean, the chapter ends. So yeah, that was some pretty out there moves. It's kind of out the box thinking, which Hachimura is kind of known for, and he's also what you call it? He also reflects on his gaming life because he used to play a samurai game, so it's going to be quite similar to this. So he's implementing what he knows already, so that's quite interesting. But I think Ryu is trying to respect what Hachimura is like, his skills and stuff. So that's quite interesting. So I guess this was a bit of training for Hachimura as he refines his samurai abilities against the actual samurai. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens next.